This is Speaking of Writers. I'm Steve Richards. Sharon Schofill is a retired elementary school teacher from rural eastern North Carolina. She has taken up writing in her free time, focusing on her favorite subject to teach writing. Her latest piece centers around a feline character named Callie, who possesses almost human-like qualities. Through her work, Sharon aims to engage readers and help them appreciate Callie's unique personality, just as she and her grandson have. The book is Callie, the Cat with 9 Eyes. It is available at writersrepublic.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com as well. Happy to have Sharon Schofill join me now here on Speaking of Writers. Sharon, welcome to this program.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
So, Sharon, why did you decide to write this book?
Well, a while ago, my grandson was constantly asking me to tell him a story. Tell me a story, Nana. Tell me a story. So we decided one night that whenever he wanted a story, that I would tell him a story about a cat. And he said, well, what's going to be special about this cat? And I said, well, there's a saying that cats have 9 lives, but we can't do that. We decided that this cat would have 9 adventures, and then we were talking, and, well, how would that be? How would people know that this cat was an adventure cat or a magical cat or what kind of cat she would be? So we decided that she would have 9 eyes on the underside of her tail, and that as she took an adventure, an eye would close. But she didn't know about the eyes and what their purpose was. So as she would take these adventures, she would the eyes would close, and she would notice a difference in the way she thought about things. By the time we got through with that first story, he would ask me for more stories about Callie. By the end of the book, though, we were chatting, and we agreed that other tweens would benefit from Callie and her viewpoint about humans and their inadequacies, especially how they treated others who were different from themselves. And that's why we wrote the book.
How did you come up with the name Callie?
Well, Callie is a calico cat. And so we just figured that since she was a calico cat, it would make sense to call her Callie.
And what is the significance of those eyes?
The significance of the eyes are that even though readers don't know from the beginning that Callie she comes from a different planet. And the significance of the eyes are that every time one closes, she gains just a bit more insight into whom she is. The eyes, as one closes, she feels different things. So the next time one closes, then she feels a little bit more. And she starts interpreting this inside herself as intuitions about what's going to happen next. And she begins to feel like she might be from a different place. And so that's the importance of the eyes, is that they're really her and where she comes from.
We're chatting with Sharon Schofill here on Speaking of Writers. Her new book is Callie, the Cat with 9 Eyes. Again, it's available at writersrepublic.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com. Let's talk about your writing process a little bit. What is your writing space? Describe that.
My writing space is actually an extra bedroom that I have in the house. It's one where I can lock the door. It gives me space to spread out, leave my notes, and without worrying about someone else coming in and destroying something that might be important to me, like a sticky note or a picture, and disposing of it, which is very important to the writing process. When I draw or paint, there's music in the background, but whenever I write, it has to be totally quiet. So I go in and I lock the door, and I just tell anybody who might be in the house at the time that I'm writing, and that space is my quiet space, and to please stay away. And I didn't have much problem with that, because at the time I was married, and it was just my husband and I. So he would be in his room doing his thing, and I would be in my writing space doing my thing.
Sharon, where do you get your information for your books? What's your research process like?
The research process, to begin with, I know what I want to write about. I develop a sparse outline depending on where I would like the character to go and what problems I want the character to face. Then, like with Callie, I decided that these places would take place on our Earth. So I go to different places on the earth that I think might be, or in the United States. This one takes place in the United States. What places I think that she would be able to interact with other people without getting too lost in herself, because she's a new cat from another world. I decided that we would take place in the United States. Whenever I take place in the United States, then I went to the internet to try to find out some places that might be logical for a cat to visit, or even a human that didn't know a whole lot about the world to visit. Then I went to fiction and nonfiction books to pull out other places for her to visit.
This is your first book. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What is your favorite part about being a writer?
The favorite part of being a writer is being able to explore the world through another person's eyes. Even though I'm using my own eyes, you're able to put your feelings and your concepts and stuff in another person or another character and see how that plays out. It also shows you, or shows me, my weaknesses and my strengths, and I'm able to write those into the character or take those out of the character.
What do you like to do when you're not writing?
Well, I like to draw, and I like to paint, and I love to read. I also love to play the piano. Piano playing is something that relieves stress, and it puts me in a place where I feel good about myself and about any actions that I might need to take or any choices I need to make. It's peaceful, and I feel good about myself when I play the piano. I think maybe playing the piano is my favorite.
What are your favorite books to read?
My favorite books to read now are like crime drama. I really like to see how the authors play out the main characters and how they solve a crime. But when I was growing up, my favorite books to read were biographies or autobiographies of historic characters and how they dealt with life and how they viewed life and what choices they made. And all like reading about historic characters or reading about, like at the time I was reading about junior detectives and how they figured out crimes and how it fit into their lives and how it made them better people. So reading about these things, and as I say, my favorite thing is crime drama, but reading about these things helps people realize that they could be more than what other people might think they can be. So that's why I like to read about the crime drama and about historic things, just because we never know who we can be until we reach out and touch something else.
So you got your first book published, this book, Callie, the Cat with 9 Eyes, Sharon. So the big question, will there be a sequel?
There is. I have started writing a sequel to the book. The sequel will be called, I haven't come up with exactly the title yet. It will be about one of Callie's offsprings. It will be about the run of the litter, and the run of the litter is called Tux. This book will take place on the earth, and she will visit many places, many historic places, and see how she reacts to these historic places. I'm about 2/3 finished with this book, and I have the third one in mind. I'm thinking it'll be a 3-part sequence, and the third one will actually take place 8 imaginary planets and will culminate with the title character living out the remainder of her life on the moon. So we start on Earth and we end on the moon.
So a lot more to come from Sharon Schofill. So what would you like readers to take away from this one, Callie, the Cat with 9 Eyes, Sharon?
I want readers to read Callie and see the circumstances in which she finds herself and how she gets out of those circumstances. And no matter if she makes a decision that isn't correct at the time, or she thinks it's correct at the time and it isn't correct at the time, that she doesn't give up, that she's always moving forward, that she's always trying to figure out a different way to interact with humans, even though humans aren't always the best of people and don't always make the best choices. I want my readers to understand that even though choices they may not be the best ones at the time, they can learn from them and they can go from that and make themselves better people.
The book is Callie, the Cat with 9 Eyes, the first one for Sharon Schofill, with more to come. It's available at writersrepublic.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com. Sharon, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
And this is Speaking of Writers.